we got to give you congratulations because you have a lot to do with the Circa contests, and every year the cachet continues to climb, and this year was the best of all. Circa Survivor, we'll get to that, and Circa Million, year 5, a huge success, Mike.
Yeah, it really was, and Derek and I and Jeff Benson have done a lot of interviews over the past couple months, and we'll do more interviews this weekend as we have the awards presentation Friday night here. You attended it 2 years ago, Amal, in the Detroit Ballroom on the 12th floor here at the D. There'll be more people than ever getting awards, as this is sort of an event to come to, but also precedes really what might be the best weekend in football, wild card weekend, right? So it's a great time for everybody to come out, and the winners get their checks as well as their bouquets. But you know, Derek's brought up a consistent, interesting point in all this, because I don't feel my role was huge in all of it. I mean, I helped to promote it in the early days and helped to go after Cornegay and all that, but I did insist when we first had this concept, when Derek first said, we're going to start a sports book, and I want to get it open in the summer, and then we're going to hit them with a football contest, you know, the next year to really establish our name. I insisted on no rake. That is true in his recounting of things. I said it will be a differentiator for us. And now the quarters, I think, also. How you want to say what had more of an impact? Amal and Vinny Mayula were the only two people I knew who said that by year 2 when he clipped the Westgate in the Millions contest, right? People said, well, 3 or 4 years, you'll be on equal footing. You said by year 2, and it happened in year 2. But I do think the no rake was an important part of it.
Well, I don't know a lot of socialists in America.
Dave Tooley, other than Dave Tooley,
I mean,
who wanted to argue that rake is irrelevant.
Well, look, the bottom line is I think there's a couple of factors that made this thing ascend very quickly. Number one, you weren't giving away free entries to people. I mean, if somebody else is paying $1,000, you don't want somebody getting a free shot at $1 million. And then on top of it, the fact that you're not taking out any percentage, it all goes back to the players that are involved in the contest. That's a huge difference in any kind of tournament. If you look at in a poker tournament, Mike, you know this very well, guys, people want to see what the payout is based on what the prize pool and the number of entries are, and it's the same thing here.
Well, I think it's interesting that Mike compared Dave Tooley to a socialist because he hasn't been a favorite since the Cold War.
Well, I will say this. This is just some interesting notes, and you can draw your own conclusions. I've never seen Dave Tooley and Leonid Brezhnev in the same room at the same time, and I've never seen Matt Brown or Dave Haxtell in the same room at the same time. So think about that. It's true.
I got to Google who Dave Haxtell is.
The head coach of the Kraken.
It's not bad.
You're right. It's a good comparison.
It's a great comparison.
Oh, my gosh. And but to your point, I'll try to get back on the track. To your point about the rake, if you don't think rake bothers sports bettors, ask horse players. Ask horse bettors. It's the biggest point of contention.
Well, they're betting. They're betting all the ones with the reduced takeout, the pick fives, and all the specials the tracks are doing, because they can't beat the 17, 18%. You got to have it. I mean, in poker players, it's especially cogent too as well. And we see now with the growth of this contest, the poker community, as this thing has now gotten into the 10 million range, the poker community and your friend Steve Fezzik now involved, right? Because now you don't even have to enter the contest. You can wait to week 12 or 13 and pick a horse, right? And that's what they did. They're buying into shares of people. Fezzik's biggest check will not come from that entry that was top 5 all season, but will come from his percentage of L.A. Joneser that he bought. He's getting $400,000 out of that $2.3 million. Right? So you can figure the percentage of what that is, and crack as a percent of that, as a percent of that, and we go deep into the weeds as we go into the 5th level. But the poker community got very involved, and of course, Golden Boy is a poker player as well. But it becomes interesting as the numbers get bigger. Different factions of the gambling communities get involved.
I just want to get your take real quick in terms of, because there's so much money at stake, that people choose to kind of sell off parts of that. I mean, to me, how much are you buying in for that you're going to give up $400,000? My question.
Well, so it depended when you got in, right?
Exactly.
So, like, I know Paul Howard's entry that made a deep run. On 1 week, 10% was $3,000. The next week it was $6,000. The next week it was $8,000. The next week it was $12,000 as the field trimmed down. So it depended how early you got in on this. I think it became the chic way to monetize this year, Patrick, because of the big point is you don't have to be liquid. You don't have to have a lot of money to hedge off your position, although we offered credit and issued over $3 million in credit to people that were mainly in Survivor, but also to top 5 in Circa Million. Several of them got $100,000 credit lines. Matt Humans, we all know, had a shot of the 4th quarter. And if Miami had covered the 3 on Sunday night, he would have split first and second, which is 150 and 60, 210. He'd have got 105,000. Instead, because the Bills covered, he wound up in a 5-way tie for 5th. He got a check for 2,000 instead of 105,000. I can tell you, we gave him a line of credit. He made a significant hedge on that game with the Bills on Sunday night. So he hedged Pittsburgh on the money line on Saturday, which he had a huge shot if Baltimore scores the touchdown late. He scoops, right? He gets the contest entry, and he wins the bet, but then he also had. So although it didn't end up, he won 6 figures, he did a pretty good job monetizing, to be said.
Well put. And while the concept of Survivor is pretty straightforward, do you take anything? Like, are there conversations there at Circa behind the scenes about anything changing moving forward, or is it a pretty straightforward concept?
Well, here's the problem we have next year is that it's a Tuesday, Wednesday, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and the NFL has come out and said we don't want to play. Now, they had gigantic ratings on Christmas Monday, right? They stole the spotlight from the NBA, all-time historic ratings. Will they reconsider that position and play on a Wednesday? I don't know, because it's so late in the year. The short rest is really
Do you guys really think they care? They got this game on Peacock. They're getting paid $110 million for this.
I don't know, but if they did that, it creates that easy, right, 20 weeks. If not, maybe there's a Saturday where they play 3 games. I doubt they're going to go up against the college football playoff 3-game Saturday. Maybe the next Saturday they do 3. I know Derek loves that number 20, right, to go 20-0. So somehow we ought to create a different 3- and 4-game window outside of Thanksgiving. That's the challenge for us next year. I'm not sure anything else changes other than it would be natural the guarantee would go from 8 to 10, I would think.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.